All right. Okay. Does anybody have Mr. Mamie's oath?
I don't.
Does he have it? No.
Mr. Mamie, do you have your
So-
oath?
No, I don't think so.
Do you have any, Amy?
Yes, I have it.
You said yes? I'm having trouble hearing Amy. Then you read it and he'll swear to it. He'll follow you. Go ahead.
Okay.
Mr. Mamie, if you raise your right hand. You solemnly swear. Go ahead.
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey. I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States and in this state under the authority of the people. I solemnly swear that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all of the duties of the alternate member of the Township of Ocean Board of Adjustment according to the best of my ability. So help me God.
Jack, just say, I do so swear, I do so affirm.
I do so affirm.
Okay. Congratulations. Welcome to the
Congratulations.
Welcome, Jack.
You need to get that signed, Amy, when we figure out how to do all that.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, moving forward. Elect the chairman.
I'd like to nominate Henry Shepherd for chairman.
Yeah. Still have Warren Good as chairman, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, but what do you mean? Warren hasn't officially resigned, has he?
Correct.
Well, is there anyone here to nominate him tonight?
Somebody just nominated. Is anybody going? No, nobody's going to nominate Warren. In all reality, unfortunately, I don't think Warren's going to be back for a while, quite a while. So pardon me. But I don't think there's any reason why we can't go forward and nominate Henry.
I need a second.
Second.
Amy, please call the roll.
Can you tell me who nominated?
James Worrell.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so
Jack, you're eligible to vote on all this.
Mr. Malta,
Yes.
Mr. Shepica.
I can't vote for myself.
I was gonna say, do you get to vote for yourself? Okay, Mr. Worrell,
Yes.
Why Trump does?
Mrs. Beal,
Yes.
Mr. Mamie,
And vote for yourself.
Yes.
Okay, need to
So
elect.
you can put
the
down
vice
Henry.
chair. Excuse me?
Yeah, you can put down Henry. Excuse me, Amy as an abstention. Here, actually.
Right.
So,
Okay.
and that actually passed. So now we need somebody nominated vice president.
I would nominate Russ Moulton for co-chair.
Vice, pardon me.
Co-chair.
You're
I'll
correct.
second that. Amy, please call the roll. Amy?
Mr. Shepica,
Yes.
Mr. Worrell,
Yes.
Beal,
Yes.
Mr. Mamie,
I guess I abstain again.
No, you don't have to abstain. No, it's Henry had to abstain.
Oh, okay. I'll vote yes then.
okay.
Okay. The approval dates for the upcoming meeting for the year. I have them here. Should I read them or? Mark, should I read them?
Yes.
Okay. July 16th, 220, August 20, 220, September 17th, 2020, October 15th, 2020, November 19th, 2020, December 17th, 2020, January 21st, 2021, February 18th, 2021, March 18th, 2021, April 15th, 2021, May 20th, 2021, June 17th, 2021. Seeing as no one has an objective, can somebody offer that?
offer to accept the dates of the meeting as read.
Second.
Amy, please call the roll.
Mr. Malta,
Yes.
Shepherd,
Yes.
Mr. Worrell,
Yes.
Ms. Beal,
Yes.
Mr. Mamie,
Yes.
Appointment of the Board of Adjustment Attorney. I'd like to nominate Mark Steinberg.
I'll second.
Any other nominations? Amy, please call the roll.
Mr. Malta,
Yes.
Shepherd,
Yes.
Mr. Worrell,
Yes.
Ms. Beal,
Yes.
Mr. Mamie,
Yes.
Thank you. Looking forward to the year.
Appointment of Board of Adjustment Planner. I'd like to nominate Jim Higgins.
I'll second that.
Jim, could you turn on your mic? Evidently not. Okay, Amy, please call the roll.
Mr. Malta,
Yes.
Shepherd,
Yes.
Mr. Worrell,
Yes.
Beal,
Yes.
Mr. Mamie,
Yes.
Appointment of Board of Adjustment Engineer. I'd like to nominate Bill Fitzgerald.
Second.
Amy, please call the roll.
Mr. Malta,
Yes.
Shepherd,
Yes.
Mr. Worrell,
Yes.
Mrs. Beal,
Yes.
Mr. Mamie,
Yes.
Okay, appointment of the Board of Adjustment Secretary. I'd like to nominate Amy.
I'll second that.
Amy, please call the roll.
Mr. Malta,
Yes.
Mr. Shepherd,
Yes.
Mr. Worrell,
Yes.
Beal,
Yes.
Mr. Mamie,
Yeah.
Mr. Steinberg, could you please swear in the professionals?
I need Jim to unmute himself.
Okay.
Where is, I'm looking for Bill.
Jim, if
I
you
see
go,
Bill.
if you
Okay.
go to the top of your screen and make it smaller, on the right-hand side, make it smaller. The two little boxes. And on the bottom, it says Mike. You don't have boxes on the top of your screen, right-hand side, by the X to X out?
You should have a green mic button down the bottom of your screen in the middle. Are you on an Apple?
Somebody help me out here. I'm challenged.
I'm trying.
Jim also has the possibility of calling in if he'd like.
Right, Jim, pick up the phone.
Call.
There you go.
There it is.
Yeah, you got it. Yay.
We got it on.
Okay, Jim and Bill. Jim and Bill, raise your right hands, please. Bill, right hand. Jim.
Jim, raise your right hand.
I gotta get up on the screen so I can read it. Hang on a minute.
Okay. You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth for all your testimony this year on the Board of Adjustment of the Township of Ocean.
I do.
They both affirmed.
We're good? Okay. Minutes for approval, June 18th. Can somebody please offer?
I'll offer.
Second. Amy, please call the roll.
Mr. Malta,
Yes.
Mr. Shepherd,
Yes.
Mr. Worrell,
Yes.
Beal,
Yes.
Good. Jack, just so you know, there are some things that you won't be able to vote on that weren't here last month.
Yep. Could you just let me know which items?
Well, the next one, the resolution and memorializations, you won't be able to vote on. Okay?
Okay.
So that's next, resolutions and memorialization. Mark, can I read both of these?
Yes, they were both last week, and we also sent resolution in advance of the board members for their review. So all you have to do is read it by name, and the board members have seen them.
Okay. John and Jeanette Keegan, block 25.32, lot 14, 235 Cliffwood Road, Oakhurst, bulk variance approval. Trent Hindman, block 78, lot 11, 1000 Bendemeer Avenue, Wanamass, bulk variance approval. Somebody please offer.
I'll offer. Second.
Amy, please call the roll.
Mr. Malta,
Yes.
Mr. Shepherd,
Yes.
Mr. Worrell,
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that brings us to carried cases to August 20th, 2020. Morris Dweck, block 11, block 43, lot 1.2, 300 Parker Avenue, Deal Park, 485 South Edgemere Drive, LLC, block 76, lot 5, 485 South Edgemere Avenue, West Allenhurst, Patricia Strano Burke, block 141, lot 14, 3408 Sunset Avenue in Ocean. William Larkin, block 25.07, lot 12, 190 Belmar Avenue, Oakhurst. Larchwood Minion, block 8.02, lots 3 and 23, 48 Larchwood Avenue, Ocean. AEI Holdings LLC, block 182, lot 88, 1400 Highway 35, Ocean. Hillel School, block 34.03, lot 2, 2.01, 5.01, 5.02, and 6, 125 Deal Road, Ocean. 335 Roosevelt Avenue LLC, block 19, lot 3, 335 Roosevelt Avenue, Ocean. Bahar and Rebecca Salome, block 22, lot 44.02, 249 Overbrook Avenue, Oakhurst. And case number 3 tonight will be carried to August 20th. That's 1209 Highway 35 LLC, block 204, lot 4, 1209 Highway 35, Ocean C3. Whew. Which brings us to case number 1, Orrin Linder, block 40.03, lot 3, 308 Deal Road, Ocean, Zone R3. This is an application to keep a retaining wall built in violation with zoning, as well as portions of which extend to the neighbor's property. A variance is also required for a change in grade of up more of 2 foot or more. I don't see Mr. Linder.
I believe this case has been carried for quite some time. Is this one of the ones, Amy?
Yes.
This is the one.
Okay. Okay, so Amy, give us some information on this.
This was heard back in April of 2019 at the board meeting, and there was a lot of things he was supposed to do, plans he was supposed to have, work he was supposed to do on a meetings he was supposed to go to, notice he was supposed to send out, and he did not accomplish any of that.
So he didn't, okay, so he never renoticed. He was going to renotice. He didn't do that.
Right.
It was supposed to have a tech meeting, and they never did. So he
Right.
never followed through after the April meeting, right? And you advised him that it was going to be on the agenda tonight?
Yes.
I believe the April meeting was 2018. That's how long it's been going. He did the work without permits in 2017. We had a meeting in 2018. He was supposed to bring in revised plans several times. We've met with him, his engineers, his contractors. He's just done nothing.
So,
You dismissed the case
sure it was
without
18?
prejudice tonight?
Yeah, that's what we're going to do. Are you sure it's 18, Bill?
Yes.
Not 19? But Jim's
Yes.
report is in April of 19. But, you know, it's not January 19.
so Mark, what do we do with this now?
If you look at my
First of all,
report, if you look at my report on the second page, I have a number of, I carried over a number of paragraphs, my initial review that they're dated. And the first one is dated 3/24/18. Meeting followed that in April.
You believe it was
It's been
April
going-
of 19?
Yeah, it's been going a
I
very long
remember-
time.
Yeah, this is
Yeah, I
Jim.
remember,
My
I think-
report was in February of 2019.
Yeah, so that's why I thought it would be.
Yeah,
All right. But
2018.
this is the case, I believe that the neighbors back, which I guess faced White, had problems with drainage as a result of this retaining wall.
Correct.
Yes.
Right, and he was supposed to come back to us. He never carried, he never renoticed, we never heard from him. So at this point, and he knew that there was going to be on tonight's meeting discussion. What do we do? Send him a letter or an email, something?
Yes, both.
A letter and email. Okay, that it was going to be on tonight for discussion, and you know, if he wanted to appear, he could have, and advise us what he intends to do. Without having that, it's just something that we cannot continue to carry on the agenda. And I would suggest to the board that we advise that the board move to dismiss this application without prejudice and reapply again. But if it's not a pending application, he would then be subject to summons in municipal court for zoning violations. So he's had an opportunity.
Why-
That was my recommendation.
Why are you, if I could just ask, why are you dismissing it without prejudice?
Well, if he were to reapply and do everything or comply,
If
what
he
I
was
say
to
with
comply, it wouldn't be a res judicata. I noted in my,
I don't think you can dismiss the application with prejudice.
I think you can deny it.
He can't comply. Can he comply to the zoning ordinances without variances?
No.
He needs a variance. He needs some sort of variance to comply. He just can't go build this wall in a different manner and be compliant. He needs to come back to us something, so that I would dismiss it without prejudice, and if he wants to restart it, that's up to him.
Donna. Where?
In the meantime, once it's dismissed, it doesn't have the protection of a pending application to the board and action to be taken by the zoning officer in the court.
So can I ask, what's the stop if somebody moves to cite him from filing another application that he doesn't pursue for 2 years?
So.
That's possible, but then again, the zoning officer has to make a case in court and say, no, it's not, this is not the average where somebody is cited, they come in, they file an application, and they do something. I mean, to dismiss it with prejudice, he can't do anything. He has a retaining wall now that's non-compliant, correct?
And can you get it down?
It's existing, and he cannot make it right without board approval.
Okay, but if we dismiss it without prejudice, okay, I understand that, but what happens next? I mean, there's a drainage problem there, there's a wall.
The summonses have been issued.
Summonses have been issued.
Yes.
Okay.
And the court has to be told to the court. Lots of times the judge will say, well, go get yourself a variance and whatnot, we'll hold it pending. But the court has to be advised by the zoning officer that he's had all those opportunities. He should be summoned until such time as he corrects it. Which could be filing another application, but there's no reason to get a summons and a fine at this point.
All right, so, can somebody move to dismiss, without prejudice, please?
Make a motion.
Need a second?
Second.
Amy, please call the roll.
Hey, Mark, who can vote on this? Anyone?
Interesting. Who was here when it was originally heard by this board, right?
Yes,
I was.
I was here from the beginning.
it looks like
I
Mr.
would think only,
Abe Lincoln.
I think just, and obviously Mr.
but
Mamie.
you know what? This is, you know what? This is basically a move to dismiss without prejudice. I think everybody can vote.
Okay.
It's not on, based on new testimony. It's the idea that he hasn't proceeded.
Right.
So everybody's eligible.
Amy, please call the roll.
Mr. Malta,
Yes.
Mr. Shepherd,
Yes.
Mr. Worrell,
Yeah.
Mr. Mamie,
Yes.
Okay, that brings us to case number 2, which is Yosef Cohen, Block 22, Lot 33, 238 Overbrook Avenue, Oakhurst, R4 zone. This is an application to keep a retaining wall built in violation of zoning, as well as portions which extend on the neighbor's property. A variance is also required for a change in the grade. Did I just read this?
That's not right.
No, that's different.
That's the same one. Yeah, no, this is a case that is, he changed his garage into an apartment and his house into a multifamily.
Where's Mr. Cohen? Gone. He's not here.
Khan's attorney
Again?
left him. This is the second or third attorney. It's pretty much the same situation as it is with Linder.
Really?
Okay, in this instance, he never came for a hearing. Is that correct? You have this list. This is listed as a new case. Oh, it's a carried case. I'm sorry. When was this on?
Carried.
His
Couple
attorney
months ago.
showed up
When
for
was
one
months
of
ago.
the hearings, but right away went on the record and said that he wanted to carry it and not be heard based on the reports he
When was that?
that day.
When was that?
That
I
was
remember that.
December of
Right.
2019.
Say it again. I'm sorry.
I believe that was December of 2019.
12/19, and it was his attorney has to be carried, and we have carried it without notice since then. Correct?
Oh,
It's
we
been on the
did.
agenda every.
Fortunately, his
It's
attorney
been
passed
carried.
away, and he was
His
trying
attorney
to.
what?
His attorney passed away in January.
That's right.
Trying to find a new attorney.
He
But
did
also
get,
did not
New attorney,
the thing.
and you have never received any communication from him or an attorney proceeding on this. Is that correct?
only that
You've
the
never heard
second
from an attorney.
also.
Well, you haven't. Pardon me. What?
There was the second attorney also, well, did not die, but the second attorney quit. Does not want to represent him.
Okay, and he knew tonight it would be on for discussion, correct? You also received an email and a letter?
Yes.
Yes,
Never.
and again, we're talking about something that was, it's now 6 or 7 months that he's taking no action, and he is situated in violation of current zoning order. So again, I would recommend we dismiss without prejudice, so that he's subject to summons.
Can I just ask a question? I don't think I really understood the response for the last one. What is the consequence? Maybe I didn't ask the question correctly. What is the consequence if I move to deny the application?
Summonses.
Well, okay, so you don't dismiss, you deny, but we don't have anything on the record to deny it factually. What's the factual basis of denying?
Well, is it to have proven that he's entitled to the
I
variance?
didn't,
With evidence, I can't.
Ross,
I'm
we're
not
not-
hearing you, Russ.
Ross, we can't hear you.
Russ,
Question.
to deny it, it would have to be based on some findings of fact that it's got a reason to deny it. I would think you just dismiss it and you handle it in the municipal court.
Okay.
Bill Fitzgerald, you have to turn your microphone on.
Bill.
Microphone.
There you go.
With everyone's microphones on, the sound keeps breaking up because as soon as someone makes a noise that their mic picks up, it's trying to talk over. It's best if everyone except the people talking the one or two people talking have their mics off, it just goes smoother.
Correct.
I mean, it's just, that's why I had it off, only because there's so much interference, because every time a mic picks up a sound, that mic jumps in.
I agree. You just have to remember to turn yourself back on when you want
You
to.
know, that's the key.
Okay, so Russ, you want to go
Somebody want to
again?
make a motion?
So I'm not making the motion. I'm not happy, so let somebody else make the motion.
I make a motion to dismiss without prejudice.
Why don't we just make a motion to dismiss, period? And we'll
Make a motion
not
to
label it after that.
I make a motion to dismiss the case.
I'll second.
Dismiss for failure to proceed, yes.
Amy, please call the roll.
Malta,
Yes.
Mr. Shepherd,
Yes.
Mr. Worrell,
Yes.
Steele,
Yes.
Mr. Mamie.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, that brings us to case number 4, Susan Basha, block 111.
Hi.
Lot Hi. Just give me a minute. Lot 19, 1302 Updike Avenue, Wanamaster Zone R6. This is an application to replace an existing deck with a smaller deck and an above-ground pool with the necessary variance for side yard setback of the deck and side and rear yard setback of the pool and equipment. Where did Mr. Higgins go? Oh, there you are. Okay.
He's there, but mute.
Susan,
here.
are you going to check? Okay, we're going to read the reports in first. Amy, mark the packet, please.
Okay.
Jim, you're first.
Okay, my report stated May 2020. Can you hear me?
Yep.
The applicant is proposing to replace an existing deck with a smaller deck and above-ground pool. Variances are necessary for side yard setback of the deck. The ordinance requires that decks 3 feet in height or less be set back a minimum of 10 feet from the side property lines. The existing and proposed deck are set back 5 feet 9 inches from the northern property line and line up with the conforming 5 feet 9 inch setback of the residence. I have no concerns with the granting of this variance. The zone requires a 5-foot setback for the principal residence. It makes sense that the deck would also be permitted to be set back 5 feet. In addition, the reconfiguration of the deck eliminates the existing non-conforming rear yard setback of the deck, which is approximately 8 feet instead of the required 10 feet. Side and rear yard setback of the pool equipment. The ordinance requires that pool equipment also be set back a minimum of 10 feet. The proposed pool pump equipment set back 2 feet from the side and rear property line. The 2-foot setback leaves little room for the screening of equipment. The applicant should provide pictures of the adjacent properties in this location so the board can determine 2-foot setback is appropriate. Absent that information, it would be more comfortable with a 5-foot setback and a requirement the landscape be provided between the pump equipment, side and rear property lines. And that's it.
Mr. Fitzgerald.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I have a report dated July 13th. I'll just summarize it. I had no substantive engineering concern with the proposal, but it did look to me like the might be better located against the wall of the existing shed. And I just wanted to note for the applicant's sake that there's a lot of construction details on the plan. The board is not looking at them. The board's only looking at the zoning ordinance. And so those construction details are nice, but they get reviewed and approved if and when you go for a building permit, you know, subsequent to the board's approval.
Thank you, Bill. Susan. Susan, please, are you going to testify?
The shed is no longer
The
there.
shed is gone. The shed has been removed.
Wait, before you go, who's going to testify?
Susan
Oh,
Basaya.
me, I'm the owner. Hi.
Susan, please raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Please state your name and address.
Susan Bisea, 1302 Opdyke Avenue, Ocean, New Jersey.
Okay, Susan, please tell us what you're gonna do.
I bought the house last year in May, and the deck was already there. And all I want to do is put an above-ground pool and add to the existing deck.
Replace the existing.
Replace the existing deck, I'm sorry. And I thought I could do that pretty easily, but I found out that the rules changed, and that's why I put the variance in. So I'm not adding, I'm just placing, right?
Replacing.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
it.
With the same footprint on that one side of the house.
That's
Any
it.
questions from the board? Ms. Beal, any questions? No. Mr. Mamie?
Nope.
Well,
Okay.
what are we doing? What are we doing with the pool equipment?
It's on the side of the house.
I understand, but our planner is recommending it be moved.
I'm sorry?
Planner is recommending it be moved.
Well, it's
Jim
not
is-
there now, so,
Jim-
yeah.
Okay, so it's not there.
No,
So now he wants it to be, what? What am I missing?
5 feet. 5 feet from the property
the
line.
pool will be 10 feet
I'm
from
sorry,
the property.
I'm sorry, you can't testify unless I get you on record.
Sorry.
You
said.
Okay.
So what I understand, the pool is conforming. 10
Correct.
feet.
Correct. Yes, sir.
So we're talking about the fence, which is, he recommends it stays where it's at because it lines up with the house. But
Mhm.
since you didn't put the pool equipment in, he's telling you that it should be 5 feet from the property lines. Can you do that?
Can you do that?
Yes. Sure.
Okay.
And also he's recommending that there be some landscaping around it, Jim?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's some screening, yes.
Is screening with landscaping, anything particular, Jim, that you're looking for? Or-
I just said there is. Oh my God, there is landscaping, yes.
Okay.
What is there?
Not a good attitude.
What's
What do you
there
have
now?
there?
Yes.
Seagrass. I'm sorry, this is my first time doing it. Seagrass, rose bushes, I don't,
That should be sufficient. If there's some rose bushes there, that should be sufficient.
yeah.
Okay.
They wanted to maintain the landscaping.
Of course, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But it's gotta be 5 feet from all property lines.
Yes.
Okay. We good? Any questions from the
Variance,
board?
because it's supposed to be 10.
Right. Any questions from the board?
No.
No.
Anyone here from the public to be heard? Motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion, we close the public hearing.
Second.
Amy, please call the roll.
Mr. Malta?
Yes.
Mr. Shepherd?
Yes.
Mr. Worrell?
Yes.
Mrs. Beal?
Yes.
Mr. Mamie?
Yes.
Action.
I'll move for a positive resolution with the usual requirements.
I need a second.
I'll second.
Amy, please call the roll.
Mr. Malta?
Yes.
Mr. Shepherd?
Yes.
Worrell?
Yes.
Mrs. Beal?
Yes.
Mr. Mamie?
Yes.
Okay.
You're good to go.
I'm good.
Well, you
Excellent,
need-
excellent.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
very much. Appreciate it, folks.
Thank
Wait,
you.
wait,
Good night.
Wait,
Oh, I'm sorry.
wait. You need to come in and see Amy,
Okay.
okay? Amy, when should she come in? When, are you on every day this week? Next week?
I'll send it to her in the mail tomorrow.
Okay, send it to you in the mail.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
What you're gonna get is you're gonna get instructions. This approval will not be memorialized until the August meeting. so that you can't get a building permit for this till after the August meeting. And
Okay.
at that point, you need to publish. I mean, you're not going to be swimming this year.
I
No.
know,
And unfortunately,
it's all right.
Yeah.
the process will take a few years.
It's all good. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night.
Well, that brings us to case number 5, Kristen Hand, block 13.07, lot 5, 902 Interlaken Avenue, Wanamassas, Zone R5. This is an application to construct a covered front porch with variances for minimum front yard setback, as well as requesting variances to keep a shed, number 1, in the side and rear yard setback, and to keep shed number 2 in the rear yard setback, and to maintain an existing paver patio with a 10-foot rear yard setback. Amy, please mark the packet.
Okay.
Mr. Hand, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Jim, please read your report. Jim, turn on your microphone.
Okay. The applicant proposes to construct an open 150 square foot front porch and to maintain 2 existing sheds and a patio in the rear yard. The front yard setback variance is necessary for the proposed porch. Side and rear yard setback variances are necessary for the sheds, and a rear yard setback variance is necessary for the existing patio. The site is a rectangular 8,250 square foot parcel with 75 feet of frontage on Interlaken Avenue and a depth of 110 feet. It is occupied by a single family residence. The site is unique in that it is bordered to the south by the Wanamassas School parking lot and to the east by a wooded land that is part of the Wanamassas School site. The property to the immediate north is a single family residence. Other uses in the area are single family residences. The application needs the following variances. Minimum front yard setback, the ordinance requires 30 feet. The existing setback of the very small porch is 21.61 feet. The proposed setbacks are 19.5 feet to the porch and 16.9 feet to the steps. The existing residence is set back 25 feet on the south side and 27 feet on the north side where the porch will be located. The proposed 20-foot wide, 7-foot 5 deep porch will have a roof but will not be enclosed. While the proposed setbacks are not consistent with the ordinance requirements, the open nature of the porch significantly reduces the visual impact, and the porch may actually improve the appearance of the residence. Consequently, I do not have a significant concern regarding the granting of this variance. Accessory building setback, the ordinance permits more than one accessory building, one of which may have a side and rear yard setback requirements of no less than 5 feet, provided it does not exceed 10 feet in height or 150 square feet in area. All additional accessory buildings shall conform to the minimum setback requirements of the principal building. Both sheds are less than 150 square feet in area and less than 10 feet in height. Consequently, one shed is permitted a 5-foot side and rear yard setback, and the second shed is required to comply with the side setback of the principal building, which is 15% of the lot width or 11.25 feet, and the rear yard setback of the principal building, which is 30 feet. Assuming the first shed that was constructed on the site, which is the shed in the northeast corner of the site, is the one that requires a 5-foot setback, side and rear yard setbacks. Variances are required for the side setback. It's 3.8 feet exists and is proposed, and the rear yard setback 3.5 feet exists and is proposed. Variances are also required for both side and rear yard setbacks. The applicant has stated that this shed existed at the time they purchased the residence. The rear of the site abuts a wooded area that is not likely to be occupied in the near future. The north side of the site abuts an open yard area. Moving the shed into a conforming location would eliminate the variances, but given the nature of the surrounding properties and the fact that there is adequate room to provide maintenance on the small shed, I have no problem with leaving the shed in its current location. If the board agrees, I recommend that any condition of approval be that if the shed is replaced, the new shed be located a minimum of 5 feet from the rear and side property lines. Excuse me. The shed in the southeast corner of the site, which is a newer of the 2 sheds, has a side yard setback of 5.9 feet, where 11.25 is required, and a rear yard setback of 4.7 feet, where 30 feet is required. it would not be possible to construct this shed in a conforming location. Given the fact that this shed abuts the wooded area to the east of the Wanamassa School parking lot and the Wanamassa School parking lot to the south, I have no significant concerns regarding the location of this shed. If the board is inclined to approve this variance, I recommend that a condition of approval be that if the shed is replaced, the replacement shed should be located a minimum of 5 feet from the rear and side property lines. Setback of the accessory structures 3 feet in height or less. The ordinance requires a minimum 10-foot side rear yard setback for decks and patios that are less than 3 feet in height. The existing patio is set back 5 feet from the rear property line. The applicant has stated that this patio was in existence at the time they purchased the residence. This is a small patio. This small patio abuts the vacant wooded area to the immediate east. Since it is at ground level and does not impact adjacent properties, I have no concerns regarding the granting of this variance. And that's the end of the report.
Well, thank you, Jim. Bill, your report?
I have no engineering problems with the matter.
Okay. Who is going to testify?
Me.
Kristen, please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please state your name and address.
Kristen Hand, 902 Interlaken Avenue.
Okay. Please tell us in your own words what you're doing.
So our front stoop is kind of falling apart. So we wanted to add a larger porch with a roof on it to extend our living space and have some outside space to, have for neighbors and, talk to people in the neighborhood. We enjoy talking to our neighbors. So we thought that we would do that. And we really enjoyed our porch in our last house. So that's why we wanted to do it.
Is it also for safety reasons, so that snow doesn't get on the new steps where it's falling apart and things like that?
Yeah, that's it too. Covered porch. I have little kids to get out of the rain, to get in the house. Right now we don't have a cover over the stoop that's existing.
Okay, do you also understand what Mr. Higgins was talking about with the second shed? That if it's ever replaced, it has to be a certain amount of footage off the property line?
I do.
You do. Okay.
I think that was for both sheds.
We had the existing shed. The one shed was there when we purchased the home, and the patio was there when we purchased the home.
Right.
And then I got a permit for the second shed, and when the shed company put it in, they didn't do what I asked them to. They didn't put it the 5 feet from the property line. So that's why we added it to the variance.
And that shed is purely used as storage, both sheds?
Yes.
Okay.
We don't have a garage in this house. This is the split levels in this area of town. The garage is no longer. They went before we bought the house, it was converted into a rec room.
Okay.
So that's why we have this shed, because we have a lot of outdoor stuff and furniture, and we have little kids, bikes, and things like that.
Okay, I understand that. Questions from the board? I'm sorry, I have a couple more questions. The porch, the covered front porch, is it going to match the house? How close is it going to be to a match on the house, on the siding, on the roof?
We're replacing the siding and the roof when we do it.
So it's all going to match?
It's all going to match, and we're going to add a peak to the front of the porch to make it more visually appealing.
Okay. So you're doing a whole new roof and siding?
Yes.
Mark, you going to mark that down?
I got it.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
Yeah,
Okay.
Henry and
Yes.
and Jim, if you were to approve this, Jim wants a condition, of course, that if either of the sheds are replaced, I think it was both, that they have to conform. Is that correct, Jim?
Now, the second shed technically wouldn't conform because it was required to be set back 11.25 feet from the side and 30 feet from the rear.
I know that. But
Shed
you
should have
said
5
both
foot
sheds.
setback from the front and rear.
So should the first, and so you said that if either or both are replaced, they need to be conforming.
No, I said if the first one's replaced, it would need to be conforming with 5 foot setbacks on both sides.
Right,
The second one,
right.
if it was
With the
replaced,
larger
would
set.
be non-conforming. It would be non-conforming because it would have 5 foot setbacks on both sides, and it's required to have 11.5 side and 30 foot rear. So technically, there would be a variance for that, but it should conform to the 5 foot setback requirement.
I understand that, but if it's replaced, what, you want conforming to the 5 foot?
Yes, that's correct. That was my
Second,
recommendation.
come on. And
Because
do we want to do a deed restriction so that future owners know this?
that wouldn't be a bad idea. That's
Yeah,
up
I
to the
mean-
board. It wouldn't be a bad idea.
So Ms.
I
Ham,
would-
you understand
the
that,
problem
right?
is that
I mean, I do understand if we put a new shed in that we have to do that, yes.
Okay,
But no, in addition to that, as part of the approval, you're gonna have to put a deed recording that indicates in the language of that condition, so that if you sell the house and 10 years from now, somebody replaces the shed, they will know it,
Okay.
okay,
either shed. So the first shed has to be into conforming 5.5, and the second shed can't be conforming, but at least has to be restored to 5.5.
That's correct.
Correct, Jim?
Yes, yes.
And you have to put a deed restriction. It's basically a deed from yourself to yourself indicating this condition. And it gets recorded in the county clerk's office.
Okay.
okay. Any questions from the board?
No.
No.
Anyone here from the public to be heard? Motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Need a second.
Second.
Amy, please call the roll.
Mr. Malta,
Yes.
Mr. Shepherd,
Yes.
Mr. Worrell,
Yes.
Mrs. Beal,
Yes.
Mr. Mamie,
Yes.
Okay, you're good to go. Amy, you're gonna mail that to them
Need a
tomorrow?
motion to approve?
yeah, I'll talk to them tomorrow.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening.
Good night.
That brings us to our final case, Frederick Mutz, Block 116, Lot 1, 1801 Sunset Avenue, Wanamass, Zone R6. This is an application to expand the pre-existing non-conforming garage within the required front and rear yard setback. Amy, please mark the packet.
Okay.
Where did Mr. Higgins? Oh, there's Mr. Higgins. Things move around.
Yes.
Mr. Higgins, yeah, can you read your report?
Yes, surely stated May 15th. The applicant is proposing to expand an existing non-conforming garage structure by adding an approximate 400 square foot of space. The addition will be insulated and include a compressor room, a mechanical room, a storage room, and a large open room. The addition will be accessed by a 60-inch wide double door. Variance is necessary for rear yard setback of the proposed addition. The ordinance requires a 30-foot rear yard setback, and the proposed addition will be set back 4 feet, consistent with the setback of the existing garage. I do not have a significant concern regarding the variance request. The ordinance requires a 30-foot rear yard setback and a 5-foot side yard setback. The rear yard is defined as the yard opposite the architectural rear of the building. In this instance, the building faces Sunset Avenue, so the northern lot line is the rear lot line, and the technical setback requirement is 30 feet. The reality is that the northern lot line functions more as a side lot line, and the functional rear yard of this is to the west of the building as viewed from Sunset Avenue, where the setbacks on both the principal building and the proposed garage expansion exceed 30 feet. Consequently, it's my opinion that the 30-foot required setback is a technicality and a 5-foot setback would be more appropriate standard for the board to consider. The proposed setback is less than the 5-foot required for a side yard setback. It would be possible to construct the garage addition with a 5-foot setback, which would result in a 1-foot offset between the existing garage and the proposed addition. It seems to make more sense to simply extend the existing garage setback. I do have several concerns regarding the application. First, the addition will not serve as a garage and that it cannot accommodate a standard automobile since the access between the existing garage is 60 feet wide and the standard automobile is in excess of 70 inches wide, I think. 60 inches wide and the standard automobile is in excess of 70 inches wide. Second, the proposed installation and addition of a compressor and mechanical room indicates that the addition will be used as some sort of a workshop. The use of the space should be clarified by the applicant and any approval should be conditioned upon no commercial activity being conducted in the garage. Second, it appears that the exterior of the addition will differ from the exterior of the existing garage. Any resolution of approval should be conditioned upon the siding and roofing of the existing garage and addition being consistent in material and color. And that's the conclusion of the report.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Higgins. Mr. Fitzgerald.
Yeah, I have a report dated the 13th. I don't have any real substantive engineering concern. I just wanted the applicant to address the size and use of the addition to the satisfaction of the board. I think Jim covered that. The issue that I did have is that, like so many properties in Wanamassa, this piece along its northerly line falls from front to rear, at least along the garage. So water runoff from the air roof flows onto someone else's property at their rear yard. So if the board elects to approve the application, I would recommend that it be subject to the applicant installing an adequate gutter along the northerly eave line of the garage and bring it forward. So you might want to go to a commercial gutter. It's a little bit bigger in cross section, get the water up to the front and out to the street. You won't see it over there anyway. It's treed, it's, you know, but it gives you a way to not impact the neighbors.
Describe that again for me. You want a,
Oh, well, the same standard. I'm sorry.
what type of gutter?
Okay, Mark, I'm sorry. I started to say for the applicant that he's got a lot of construction details again, which are not being reviewed now. We're only looking at the zoning ordinance. All the construction details and things like that are reviewed by the building department if the matter is approved by the board. Yeah, I just wanted a roof gutter on the northerly eave line that takes the water, on both eave lines, I'm sorry. It takes the water to the front, dumps it on the driveway out to the street.
And Bill, didn't you say that you wanted a wider kind of commercial gutter?
Yeah, I think they're big because otherwise to get the slope, you end up with a gutter looking like it's sagging on, you know, a bigger cross section needs a lot less slope. So you do, they don't look bad.
Okay, thank you.
Come on.
Mr. Mutz, could you please raise your right hand?
Yes, sir.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
Frederick Mutz, 1801 Sunset Avenue, Ocean, New Jersey.
Okay, well, so the first thing I need you to clarify is what you're going to do in the garage.
Let's call it a hobby space. There will be no commercial activity whatsoever. I know that's a concern because of the size. The mechanical room, I have a compressor which is kind of noisy. It's gonna isolate it so I don't hear it. It's already isolated from my neighbors because I have a well-insulated garage currently, so it's not going to be a nuisance to anyone else. It's mainly isolating it from me hearing it more than anything. And I'll address, I'm in accord with every recommendation you've made. I want to make a note that on my original plans, it was my intention to finish the entire structure. It's a concrete block garage with a concrete block extension. The entire exterior will be covered with a new stucco, consistent color of the whole thing, and a new roof on the entire structure, matching the roofing on my home. So I'm very mindful of keeping it, pleasant appearance to this and not a commercial appearance.
Okay, and did you, Mr. Fitzgerald asked about a guttering system to get the water to the street. Will you do that also?
Absolutely. I think I'm looking at my plan and I'm showing a gutter on both sides that will be the new length of the entire, but I like the idea of the commercial gutter because it'll be more, as he mentioned, it won't look like it's drooping down. It'll kind of be more consistent, linear along the roof. So absolutely, yeah.
Okay. So I have a question for Mark. In the future, since this garage really can't hold a car, if Mr. Mutz moves, what is there any, you know what I mean? I mean, it stays that way,
If I can
right?
make a comment, the front section of the garage, or the original section of the garage, I don't use as a garage currently, but I've maintained the garage doors, and it could revert back to a garage without any, with no effort, basically. So I'm not turning it into a space that's not a garage, I guess, at least from that view on Garden Avenue. And anyone ever wanted to park two vehicles in there, it's a two-car garage that could revert back to that pretty easily.
Okay.
Anything that's in there now is on wheels, and it would roll out if I ever left. I'm not planning on doing that, but it could turn into a regular two-car garage.
I just had to ask the question because Mr. Higgins
Sure.
said that most cars are 70 inches wide and you had a 60-inch clearance. So I wanted to make sure that if you do ever leave, it could be turned back.
Sure.
Well, yeah, I think that's part of his testimony. We'll include it as a finding that he's going to maintain the garage door.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's your intent to the,
Yes, sir.
He did that. Yeah. So it'll
Okay.
always look like, okay.
It'll always be a garage from Garden Avenue, and function as a garage if needed.
okay. Any questions from the board? Anyone here from the public to be heard? Motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second,
Amy, please call the roll.
Mr. Malta,
yes.
Mr. Shepherd,
Yes.
Mr. Worrell,
Yes.
Mrs. Beal,
Yes.
Mr. Mamie,
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to move for a positive resolution.
I'll move.
Second.
Amy, please call the roll.
Mr. Malta,
Yes.
Mr. Shepherd,
Yes.
Mr. Worrell,
Yes.
Mrs. Beal,
Yes.
Mamie,
Yes.
That it?
Wrapped.
Mr. Mutz, thank you. Amy will be in touch tomorrow. Board members, thank you. See you in August.
Thank you. Thanks,
Need a
everyone.
motion to,
Make a motion to close the meeting.
So moved.
Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
okay. Everybody
Thank
stay
you.
well.
All right. Bye.
Stay safe. Take care, everybody.
Stay well. Good night.